Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
And Kieran.
Right, so none of us have been replaced this week.
Not yet.
No, there's time.
Chris lives in my house now, and I've moved into Chris's.
Although, give it 3 weeks and there might be a lineup change.
Coming at you live from Kieran's studio.
Did he take his soundboard with him?
Go on, Chris. Press that button.
Oh,
no, not that one. What did I say?
Wait. This one here.
Oh.
I hit 2 at once there.
I hit 2 at once. Anyway.
We'll say how we're doing, but it's obvious you can only get it on prescription.
This is still more sensible than what's happening at RedBull.
Yes.
What? Where do we start?
Well, it was a rumour this time last week, wasn't it? It was like, they're going to replace him after 2 races. We were like, nah.
Yeah, we all made our predictions, didn't we, for who would be in the non-Verstappen Red Bull, and I think we all said Lawson.
Yes.
What do we know?
And then on Tuesday, of course it was fucking Tuesday, that's when it all looked like it was going to happen. It was first broken by a Dutch journalist who I checked up on the veracity of with one of our regular Dutch listeners, so thank you, Baz, for confirming, not complaining, for confirming that this guy is basically the Verstappen PR department, and if he says it's going to happen, then it's already happened.
Yeah.
And then they made it official Thursday, was it? I'd given up by then.
I've lost count of when it
it was
actually...
Thursday.
Yeah.
It was made official.
Now,
yeah.
Helmut Marko says that Yuki is going to be in that car for the rest of the season.
Bye, Yuki.
Do we live in a world where Helmut Marko counts each race as a season?
Well, no, Yuki is going to be in that Red Bull car for the rest of his season. It's just that it might not be 22 races.
I see.
Yeah, if I was Ayumu Iwasa, I'd be getting his seat fitting now.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Like, after 2 races, they're so confident they made a mistake that they're just going to put the guy who they told us 2 months ago was not good enough to get in that car in the car.
Oh, it's madness.
But apparently it's a completely different Yuki this season.
But this time they're right. What?
His form is incredible. His form is 2 races.
To be fair, his form was quite good last year in places. He had a few sort of patchy spells, but when he has a good race, he has a very good race.
Yeah, if the stupid thing about all of this is, okay, in a sense it's good. They fessed up and went, maybe Yuki would have been better, but there's better ways to handle that. Maybe one way is to not come out with that publicly and make a decision 2 races in. Maybe give the guy that you originally thought had a chance a few more races. Maybe turn back time and do what was originally the right thing and put Yuki in the seat. But this halfway house is just rubbish. It's rubbish for Lawson. It's sort of rubbish for Tsunoda, because Tsunoda got hit quite badly, I imagine, by not getting that seat last year. And this sort of short-term boost of confidence is going to be completely wiped out when he qualifies 17th on Saturday. It's bad for Red Bull in its entirety, because Helmut looks like a dick, even though he always has done. And Christian Horner, no further comment. And it's sort of bad for Max, because Max is the best driver in Formula One right now. And he's ragging a car that he has had the philosophy completely built around him on, to the limit. It's very pointy at the front. It's how he likes it. He likes to chuck it around at the front. But the team is now so around him that no one can go up against him. And it's starting to look like it's not because Max is an incredible driver, which I think it is. But I think the more this goes on, it shows you how much the Red Bull team have got everything behind Max. Maybe it's not bad for Max. Maybe it's bad for PR related to Max.
I think it's bad for Max.
Bernie Collins apparently said something very interesting today. If Max misses a race or has an off day, Red Bull are the 10th fastest team.
Yeah, she said that in the F1 podcast, in the Sky one this week. Don't listen to it. Listen to this. Don't turn this off and go and listen to that. We've said the most interesting bit. So yeah, I've so many times on my radio show I say I heard something great on Six Music this week, and then I go, oh, bollocks, I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, there's apparently she thinks it's the 10th quickest car, and there's other places. I think the race said it's not the 10th quickest car, and it's not that bad. But yeah, if Max isn't in that car, and say Lawson and Tsunoda were teammates, Red Bull have a serious problem because they don't have anyone to design the car around. They just have to design a car. Maybe
this is the thing, isn't it? So there was a lot of talk as well, wasn't there, about Max defending Liam Lawson at the last race, saying, no, this car is really difficult to drive, and he needs to be given the time and sort of maybe coached a bit more into what he needs to do in order to get it working. And there was a post, was a Guido van der Gaard, our favourite non-Sauber driver, who posted something about how ridiculous the whole situation was about replacing Lawson with Tsunoda. And Max Verstappen publicly liked the post on Instagram. And I can understand why. And it's opened up a little bit of a separate avenue of questioning, like really, for the Max has gone and done this. Not that the Red Bull is awful, but that they haven't been listening to Max Verstappen. Max has been saying for a long time, he said when Checo was driving the car, this car isn't good. They then started listening to Max when Max was saying it, but Checo had been saying it for a long time. That's why they hung on to Checo for as long as they did, because they were like, oh no, maybe he was right when he started telling us about all these sensitive issues with the car. It just took Max a little bit longer to not be able to drive around them. I think Kieran's right. I think Max is an exceptional talent who is able to drive around these problems. But I think this is the beginning of the end for Max Verstappen at Red Bull. I think he's had enough because they're not listening to him in developing the car. He's finding problems and is elated by getting on the front row in a sprint race. And was actually really happy with qualifying. When did he qualify? Fourth on the Sunday, or third on the Sunday?
Fourth.
Yeah, and he was really happy with that as well. I thought, that's actually a really good result for us. I think it is like 90% Max at the moment. It's interesting to see sort of whether or not Yuki Tsunoda's driving style will be similar enough to Max's that he can at least make the car work. I think if Tsunoda goes out and scores points in his first Red Bull outing, that will be considered a success.
Yeah.
I think, especially in front of his home crowd in Japan, he's going to really want to do well. So all of the pressure is on Yuki Tsunoda. We'll see how he handles it, but it's a Red Bull problem. The driver is not the problem, and I think I boiled it down in a chat group. 1 through things, and I see if I can remember all three of them now. Either the management aren't working correctly and they've got it wrong. So that's Helmut Marko and Christian Horner, who the buck stops with. Mm-hmm. Either they made a decision so drastically incorrect and they overlooked Yuki Tsunoda for no reason other than the fact they didn't want to promote him, which is bad management. The other one is that the Red Bull Junior program isn't working anymore. The way they run it, whatever it is that they do.
Oh no, we've got disappearing Chris again.
Oh.
No.
I've got Chris's point in front of me, so
I've got his message up here.
Yeah. So the Red Bull Young Driver program isn't working the way it was supposed to, not producing the results it should. Buck stops with Horner and Marko.
Yeah.
Or the car is actually an effing disaster and they haven't listened to the feedback from Max and whoever the second driver is this week, and Kieran's idea of putting Max in the RB is the only way to know. Buck stops with Horner and Marko.
I'd have more time for the decision if they had come out and said, actually, we're having some issues kind of understanding the car, so we want to put a different driver in it to get a different sort of data set and a different driving style, and someone who, you know, we've had in the Red Bull family for a few years, so we know sort of where he is, so that might give us a different look at the car. That I would kind of understand.
But that feels to me the only way of spinning this in a positive way.
But that's not what they've done.
Literally, next driver up, who can drive our really bad car?
I mean, Marko even described Lawson as a punch-drunk boxer.
It's not a great compliment.
You can't have someone in Formula One for 11 races at your junior effing team and then turn around and go, I tell you what, that kid's shit hot. Let's get him in the car. Drives your piece of crap car and goes, well, this kid's a punch-drunk boxer. No, he can't drive this car. Boo. But everyone boo the kid. Boo. Boo. You can't, it doesn't work. You can't treat someone as badly as that. They are pointing the finger at everyone but themselves.
I only have 2 words to say that to prove that Marko can treat someone as bad as that. COVID camp.
Yeah. Hey kids, come get ill. Then we're all ill, and then we'll all be fine in a brave new world. It's just they've treated Lawson like crap. Lawson deserved more time in that seat. Personally, I think Yuki Tsunoda should have got the seat last year. I'm not the Oracle. I didn't get any say in the decision, so I'm fine with Liam Lawson taking it. I think for me, what was more important?
No, it's Honda that are paying Yuki's driver seat, not Oracle. They're just the title sponsor of the team. I'll get me
very good.
I'll get me
very good. Hold up, there it is. So what you've got there is someone who was completely mistreated by being kicked out of that seat. You look like an idiot. You put all the pressure on Max to win things by himself, then you're no longer a Formula One team. Then you really are putting all your eggs in the Max basket. Now, that works if your car is really good. Schumacher did very well at Ferrari because they put all the eggs in the Schumacher basket. If they had put all the eggs in the Barrichello basket, Barrichello might have won a championship or two, but they didn't. They went all out on Schumacher. If you put all your eggs in the second Red Bull driver, you're not going to get anywhere because you've designed the car around the first driver, so that analogy doesn't really work. But what I'm trying to say is treat your second driver better.
Otherwise, you'll end up in the situation that Ferrari were in when Mika Salo was driving the second car.
Or Luca Badoa. Or Nicola Larini. Or who was the one who... is it Teo Fabi? Was he a Ferrari driver?
Probably for about half an hour.
No points. Someone got 3 poles for Ferrari but never scored a point. I think it was Teo Fabi. I could be wrong.
Oh, Statman, where are you now?
Not Capelli, is it? I think Capelli? I can't remember. But there is, allow me to be cynical for a second.
What? Cynical about Red Bull? Whatever would bring you to that?
Yes. We haven't got Chris back yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
It's refreshing.
Okay.
You said it all gone a bit screwy.
Oh, dear. 2 things are true. If the next race was Bahrain, Liam Lawson is in the car. If the next race wasn't Japan, Liam Lawson is in the car. They're basically the same thing, but they're true. This is a complete and utter marketing cash grab timed so that they could pass it off as if Liam had his chance and he wasn't doing very well. Because Liam did not drive he didn't drive at Albert Park or at the Shanghai circuit in his junior career, mostly because for most of his single-seater junior career, China was shut. And for a huge part of the pandemic as well, they didn't go to Australia. He's from New Zealand. He probably didn't do the Toyota Winter Series because it doesn't go to Albert Park because it's only really shut for the F1. So there have been no reason for him to have done either of those circuits. The first track that he's coming to that he has driven before is Suzuka, and he knows that track well because he's done 2 F1 races there in 23 and 24, and he did a whole year of Super Formula there where they go to that place twice. So he knows that track better than any track on the circuit right now, apart from maybe a couple ones he did F2 in Europe. And they've taken him out here. That makes no sense whatsoever. All I can think is that they've gone, Yuki Tsunoda's from Japan. Aren't we going to Japan next? Oh, Lawson's crap, isn't he? Let's make this work somehow. And that's where we are.
The 20 million that they're getting from Honda's not going to be
I won't turn it
left
down.
off the table.
At 19 million, I'd say no, but 20, now we're talking.
But it's
Do you
just...
know who Liam Lawson's backers are?
I do not.
I assume it's going to be whoever was backing Mark Webber. Hang on a minute. Mark Webber's a Honda man through and through, isn't he?
Oh, I thought he was something like a Mercedes man.
No, every time Mark Webber comes over for TT, which is practically every year, he's always in Honda hospitality.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's just because that's who has the hospitality at TT. And he's pally with McGuinness, and McGuinness is Honda.
Yeah, but he's always in the Honda grandstand halfway up Bray Hill. Oh, I think we may have a Chris coming back.
He's had to restart everything.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
we had that was laptop more than anything. That might be new laptop time.
Yeah, we found the remainder of your points from the other day. So
Yeah, I was listening to you saying them, and then Sean said something, and then for some reason this just stopped working completely, and I was like, okay, I'll just refresh that page, and then it just didn't refresh, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then I opened up, started going into shit, and I'm like, oh, well, OneDrive has just started itself, amazing. So I quit OneDrive, and it's like, nah, I'm not connected to anything now. I'm like, oh, fuck you. So I had to restart the whole thing.
the joys of internet. So we're basically saying, is this a cynical cash grab or cash marketing grab by Red Bull because of
Due to the timing of it being Japan.
Yes, essentially it is, because that they're going to cash in with the Japanese fans, having Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull and making the Japanese fans believe that Yuki might be the special one and the only one who can possibly drive the car, who isn't Max Verstappen. The point I was trying to make before I disappeared was that it was the driving style of Yuki Tsunoda and whether or not he can actually, if he has a similar driving style to Max Verstappen, that it might be the only way he can get that car to work. Ferrari have got Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc now, and Fred's thinking behind that was that they both have similar driving styles. I think both McLaren drivers are quite similar in their driving styles, and that cohesiveness is good. But I mean, I don't know where you find somebody who drives like Max Verstappen unless you clone Max Verstappen.
Well, there's two elements of that, isn't there? You can drive like Max Verstappen, but you have to be as good as Max Verstappen driving like Max Verstappen. Because, stupid as this sounds, there's only one Max Verstappen, and he's currently in the car that suits him best. A pointy car, loads of rear end, very nice at the front. That's how Max Verstappen likes his car. You're not going to get another Max Verstappen who drives not only Max's style, but as good as Max straight away. So they're just looking for someone who might be able to drive his style. They probably got closest with Albon, maybe?
Yeah, I would say so.
Perez started off well, but then the more that the development went towards Max's liking, the more they lost Perez. So whereas Albon sort of stayed in the top 5, 6, 7 for most of the time he was Max's teammate.
Apart from all the times that he got punted.
Apart from,
by Lewis Hamilton.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to win. This is the greatest thrill of my... for fuck. Lewis! Twice. So, yeah. It's... You're not going to find another Max Verstappen, and you're going to be very hard-pressed to find someone who drives exactly like Max Verstappen, but 4/10 slower. Maybe Yuki's that person. I don't have the stats. I don't have the data. I don't think that if you found it yet after 4 attempts, that the 5th attempt is going to go down very well.
It's trial and error, isn't it? Let's be honest. They don't actually know themselves.
Yeah.
So they put Yuki in the car, and let's just say, playing devil's advocate, that Yuki Tsunoda finds a car really easy to drive and is suddenly challenging Max Verstappen for position.
Autosport put a graphic up on Instagram earlier saying, wow, how much of a dream would it be? Yuki, home podium. Be a massive dream. A dream is what it would be, not a reality.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember when Kamui Kobayashi got on the podium with Sauber and they just chanted his name very, very slowly?
I think he has like a whole grandstand named after him now, I think, doesn't he, because of that?
Wow.
I came up with the post-Japanese Grand Prix news matrix.
This is good.
Yeah, so... this is, as a disclaimer, this is all predicated on Max getting a top 5 finish, because then that will leave these last 4 options. Yuki does well, Liam does well. The car wasn't right for Liam.
Okay.
This is how I think. This is how I think the majority of the press is going to go, because the F1 press can be a little bit fickle. Yuki does well, Liam does badly. Lawson sucks, and the car doesn't. Yuki does badly, Liam does well. It's obvious that the car sucks and Lawson is talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yuki does badly, Liam does badly, both the car and Lawson suck. That is how it's going to end up being reported.
And I know, for myself, I think I know which one it's going to be. I think it'll be Yuki does badly, Liam does well. It's obvious the car sucks and Lawson is talented, because I know I said it last week on the show. Lawson doesn't qualify last 2 races in a row in that RB.
No.
He doesn't all of a sudden dip off the cliff in form with Hadjar in 11th place and Yuki up in 5th in Australia and all that. That just doesn't happen. Lawson is up amongst Yuki and Hadjar in that situation. Lawson's talented. I don't think he sucks. He seems like a bit of a twat. And I think that might be a bit rude. He does seem like a fawny little git, but that doesn't affect the idea that that he's talented. I think he's got something there.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit like that, though, haven't you? To be
you need an edge, don't you? You need a bit of an edge.
Yeah. The one I'd want it to be is Yuki does well, Liam does well.
Yeah.
And the car just not being right for Liam. But the one I think it will be the third one, because Yuki's not driven that car before, isn't used to a Red Bull philosophy whatsoever, and is coming into it under I don't know if he's under pressure, because Liam was probably under more pressure than Tsunoda, because they're quite used to getting rid of a driver 11, 12 races in, and Yuki's been there 4.5 seasons, or 4 and a bit seasons, I should say. But I worry about him, because I like him.
I think the biggest risk for Red Bull, potentially, is Tsunoda does well, Verstappen doesn't, because then you end up in a situation like when they had Vettel and Ricciardo, and Vettel was the established multi-time champion, and Ricciardo was the new guy just kind of pleased to be there, and very quickly started beating Vettel, and it didn't go very well.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening, but it would be a big problem for Red Bull if it did, if they then suddenly had a very grumpy Verstappen.
If that happened, I'll be buying shares in Popcorn.
I've listened to, whilst I was in Berlin, I listened to every F1 podcast going in my quiet time, mainly to get as much content on this whole Yuki and Liam Lawson switch as possible. I think if Yuki came into the team and started schooling Max, I would buy merch. My theory on Max Verstappen over the past few years is that when I first met Jane in about 2019, throughout 2020, every time that an eyelash fell out, she'd just put on her thumb and go, make a wish. And every time I went, Max pole this weekend, let's split the Mercs. Let's stop Hamilton and Bottas. And what I think has happened is that that's delayed like 40 times, and Max was dominant for 3 years. So from here on in, it's Yuki pole for next, and maybe by 2028, the man will be world champion. You know?
And Jane will have no eyelashes left.
Yeah, it's actually me. It's me with the silly eyelashes. But yeah, no listeners needed to know that. But there we are. Moving on.
So I think we're all in agreement, just like we were last week. Red Bull have fucked it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, they're so desperate for Max to win a 5th world title and for them to hold on to to some sort of respectful position in the Constructors' Championship, that they're willing to literally sacrifice one of their drivers.
I was gonna say boil their own children.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well, the one thing I think I need to slightly apologise for the end of last year is that I'm still, I said this last week, I still think getting rid of Perez was the right idea, because you got to try something new. The problem is they're trying something new before the last thing they tried really gave you proper results, proper data. Last year, halfway through the season, we were going, is it time they get rid of Perez? They've got to get rid of Perez now. What this tells me is that no, they shouldn't have got rid of Perez halfway through the season, because no one that they had racked up ready to go, even Tsunoda midway through last season, would have saved them second in the championship.
This problem started when they decided it was between Lawson, Perez, and maybe Tsunoda for that second seat, and discounted Danny Rick and binned Danny Rick off mid-season. Well, Singapore. So I think Daniel Ricciardo could probably still do a job in that Red Bull. Maybe not now. He's had a half a season out. He'd take a little while to get back into things, but they made that decision then, and they had a decent, experienced driver who could likely have done the job for them. I think at the time we said that Lawson and Tsunoda, neither of them are going to be experienced enough to take over the full Red Bull seat. No. But that's what they went with. And, Lawson did look good. I don't think it's his fault.
No.
It's Red Bull's fault completely.
I think
I don't know.
The major problem is that basically it just boils down to the fact that they've built a car that your up-and-coming rookie can't drive, and your experienced campaigner can't drive.
Yeah, so we were talking about this. It just conversation. Sleemer and I were just chatting about it, and came up with the idea of maybe what if rookies actually have more time? And, if you haven't done a full season of Formula One, you actually have an extra testing day or more testing time before the season starts. Like, that's an interesting one. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, wait a second. Isaac Hadjar didn't need any extra testing. No. Kimi Antonelli didn't need any extra testing.
Hadjar might have benefited from a little bit, bearing in mind the absolute first lap of his career.
He could maybe have done with a wet test before.
Just the old sprinklers round Barcelona.
But don't forget, you've got the young drivers test at the end of the season, where young drivers like Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso get to drive this year's car for one last time with the year after next's tyres on.
No, that's what I mean. It should be, if you're going to consider that, you should really consider it as, So 2025 drivers drive the 2025 cars for maybe an extra day in Bahrain or something, but it's only those who haven't done a full season. So like all the ones we're calling rookies this year, so Ollie Behrman, Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan as well could probably have benefited from a little bit of extra testing.
Yeah,
but would that have helped? Would it have hindered? Who knows? But I mean, that is something I think might be worth considering bringing in the future for rookies to have an extra day of testing in the current cars, not the young driver test at the end of the year before.
Yeah. Red Bull have two businesses. They have the Racing Bulls, whatever it's called now, VCARB, Minardi, let's call it. They've got Minardi, and they've got themselves, Red Bull. One car is designed fairly normally. Two random drivers can go into it, be it Lawson and Hadjar, be it Tsunoda and Hadjar, and they'll probably be fine. That car might well be the fifth fastest car on the grid. Until Carlos Sainz really gets into shape at Williams, they're probably your fifth best team on the grid right now, because it's produced good results, even if they had some crazy strategy last time out. My concern, I guess, is the other car, the main car, has been designed in an insane manner that no one can get to grips with whatsoever. And now we're in a situation where the best driver can only drive the insane car and not the it's completely mad to drive car, and not the normal car. So I'm now going back to my point of why not just stick Max in the RB, give him a couple of Max can't win the championship, which will be around Austria, let's say Austria Britain time. Give Max a couple of races in the RB. Hell, bring back Perez. Stick him in there. Why not? What is there to lose in bringing? You know what? It was so quiet for a while that I thought I should probably check that I'm still online here. Well, I'm glad, Ben.
You're making a really compelling point.
Yeah, we were just hanging on your every word.
It's just one car's insane, one car's normal, but only the best drivers can drive the insane car, and yet they haven't come to the idea that the normal car's not particularly slow, and we're not going to win anything anytime soon. Let's try some drivers in the normal car up against each other and see how that goes. If Max is still 0.7 of a second quicker than Lawson, what that tells me is that Max is the greatest driver of this generation. But until you get the data fairly on all your drivers, don't make rash decisions.
Yeah, so that really leans into the point which you said last week, which we kind of laughed at, which is the only way you really know is if you put Max in the RB.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit mad, but what a story it would be.
I love that you're saying don't make any crazy decisions, but also put Max in the RB.
I'm saying.
Of course, the problem here is that teams can only use 4 drivers in a season.
Yes, yeah, but so what? I guess in that sense, your 4 drivers are Verstappen, Tsunoda, Lawson, Hadjar. Swap them all round. Don't bring in an Iwasa, and if Hadjar gets a cold, boo-hoo, you lose a driver. One of your cars doesn't get raced that weekend, right? But I would now reevaluate the entire driver program and say, okay, this week in the RB, it's going to be Hadjar and Max, and in the Red Bull, it's going to be Lawson and Tsunoda. Good luck, chaps. See you on Sunday evening for the debrief. I would absolutely do that. I mean, there's logistic problems everywhere. They're going to be going through banners above the pit garages like no business. It's not a friend of the environment, but it's fun.
Yeah, but usually the one above the second Red Bull garage is written in pencil anyway, so they can just rub it out.
Just taped over various times. What number is he this week, lads?
This weekend is going to be interesting. Is it worth asking, do we have any predictions for Japan between us? Because I am going for a Godzilla win, Mothra second, and Tetsuo from Akira to wave the checkered flag.
But it's completely flown under the radar because of everything else that's happening. But it's actually quite a big development story in terms of development. When I say developing the car, Ferrari have decided that they're going to ship a new floor out to Japan for this race. Apparently, they spotted a problem with their floor in Bahrain. And instead of just being like, well, we'll just wait till you get to Middle East, it's not that far away from Europe. No, they've decided to ship this floor to Japan. We don't know if this flaw was the cause of their. We know the problems with the flaw were the cause of the disqualification for Lewis Hamilton in China. But if that is what's stopping Ferrari from reaching their potential, and they actually could be quite quick, then we might see that in Japan. I don't know. Maybe this new floor's worse.
It could be that it's 1 millimeter thicker and 1 kilogram heavier, and that's both
Yes,
solid.
Slightly more robust over the curbs.
It's funny enough. Yeah, it's exactly what they need. But yeah, it's really rare for a team to, number one, this early in the season, round 3, and number 2, to actually fly a new part out to a flyaway race, especially something as drastic and as massive as the floor of your car, which is going to change the aerodynamics completely. So Ferrari are either going to be 1 and 2, or 18 and 19, because Tsunoda's 20th, right?
It is such a big part to do a rush job on as well. If it doesn't work, they are going to look very silly.
I don't know, because on F1 Manager you can sort of divert extra resources into new part design and manufacture and get it done quicker, but it buggers you up for the rest of the season because all your staff are knackered.
Also, this is Ferrari.
Oh God, they're going to replace it with a carpet.
It's amazing. We've actually had a couple of floor issues so far this season. I didn't think we'd be doing car development so much in 2025, but it's basic problems.
I mean, I was hanging on till like a week or two before Spain to invite Scarbs on, but I think I might actually drop him online this week.
Yeah. They've shaved 8 inches off the second RedBull driver.
In other non-on-track news, what the hell's going on with Aston Martin? Because they've announced today they are selling shares in the F1 team to fund Aston Martin, the parent company, as well as Lawrence Stroll buying more shares in it to put his holding up to 33%. So you would have thought if the Formula One team are trying to raise some money, it would go into the Formula One team.
I don't know the story. Is this something to worry about?
No, I don't think so, because don't forget Lawrence Stroll owns both anyway. But
he's the largest shareholder of both. He doesn't have full outright ownership.
Isn't this essentially what the Glazers did with Man United?
No, I don't think so, because they're not getting rid of debt through the Aston Martin team, are they? I think what's happening is Aston Martin, perhaps even the board of Aston Martin, the manufacturer, have gone, you know what, the Formula One thing's not looking so clever for us right now, but we don't want to chuck all of our funds at it or elsewhere. We want to keep our name in the hat because obviously 26 might be a good year for us. We've got more chance of winning something with the Aston Martin Valkyrie. So let's chuck loads of money at that. And then if Formula One gets good, we can maybe sort of go back that way a little bit. But with Lance Stroll in that car, we can't tell the boss man this, but we're not winning anything.
I was going to say, I mean, one way that Aston Martin F1 could raise extra money would be to have 2 drivers that are capable of pushing the car up the constructors' standings and not having Fernando Alonso and Lance, who works from home 3 weeks out of 4.
Are you suggesting that Lance isn't pulling in the sponsors?
He's not pulling in the sponsors. Well, I was talking prize money mainly.
Oh, okay.
But, yep.
Lance Stroll last week in China, lest we forget, which I think I mentioned last week on the podcast, couldn't pull in one fan in the paddock.
No.
Everyone else. I don't think people with actual money are going to be pulled into the unmistakable, charming, smoky allure of Lance Stroll.
Did anyone see the picture of Lance Stroll in the bakery?
No. Stroll's
The
rolls.
happiest- I wish it was. You see, that's a great business name. But he's the happiest I've ever seen him in a bakery. So maybe he does want to be a baker all this time, play tennis on the weekends and, just disappear from Formula One altogether.
Like he does every Sunday afternoon.
Hey! Come on. That is, at the moment, the lead point scorer for the Aston Martin team.
Correct. And
all I'm saying is Fernando should have retired.
Yeah, possibly, but yeah.
No, I don't. That was me taking the mickey.
I mean, if it wasn't for the sprint race in China, Fernando wouldn't actually be featuring on the Drivers' Championship because he's had 2 DNFs where he's not been classified.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't forget as well, this whole situation with Aston Martin is that they are switching to Honda engines in 2026. So, much like when McLaren and Honda sort of joined forces like 10, 11 years ago,
10 years ago, because our first podcast was about Alonso not getting electrocuted.
Yeah, so they occupy different spaces. You remember that term? They occupy different spaces in the market. So there was no problem with them sort of doing with Honda supplying McLaren with racing engines because they're not competing. I think it's much the same when it comes to Aston Martin, unless, of course, again, a point that Selena made was that would you think they may be looking at a collaboration, like an Aston Martin Honda collaboration, some kind of ridiculousness supercar maybe, or have Honda gone, quite fancy owning a Formula One team again. Do you reckon you could, slowly sell it to us over the next 5 years?
It's Honda, so don't rule it out.
Yeah.
When are Renault going to buy Enstone back?
Well, they kind of do own it still.
They're just using a different badge on it.
Yeah, different name.
Yeah, but I mean, the Renault big sell-off, The Rock and Anthony Joshua and whoever else owns a chunk of it, and I think that will go further, and some private equity firm will end up buying the Enstone team, and then 3 years down the line, Renault will get seller's remorse again.
Yeah.
And get back with their ex.
I mean, it is Alpine. I mean, it could have been Dacia. Do you know what I mean? But
I'm sure if there was a Romanian Grand Prix, it would have been.
On Lance Stroll, one last thing which charmed me before the start of the season, I forgot entirely. I don't know if it charmed me or it summed Lance Stroll up in one action. Have you seen those photos where they have to hold up "My First Day" on a chalkboard?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
And it's, my name is Lance Stroll. I'm number 18. I am from Montreal and all that. And it says, my favourite food's pasta. My favourite song is what? At the bottom, it says, this year I will be, and then there's a space left. And then there's the signed, and that's where you put Lance Stroll, right? In that bit this year, his bottom bit says, this year I will be, and he's left that space blank. And then it says signed, and he's written awesome.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. So that is actually what he's done.
Oh, wow.
You wrote the wrong box, Lance. This isn't that mastermind sketch with the two Ronnies.
Still one of the funniest things that's ever been on TV. Right, we are a little bit time limited tonight, so rather than a jump cut, I think we are going to go to, God, I hope this works.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
It is, it's Glock!
We have an Is That Glock that's been sent in.
Hooray!
This is from a loyal listener, Levi Shrek, who has been listening to us for ages, and I don't think this is his first... Well, it's his first Is That Glock, but I think he's been a total shunt before. And he is from Peyton Manning's favourite place, Omaha.
Yay.
In joke there for any American football fans from about 5 years ago.
Farm insurance?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, one thing. I'm just going to do a massive cough.
Oh, okay. When are we going with that? But okay. Cough is fine.
Yeah.
Right, I've muted myself to do it.
No,
That's very professional of you.
somebody's got a mute button on their roadcaster.
Someone paid 15 grand for their radio degree. I did it. I learned mute.
Right. I was born
Yay.
in 1976.
Okay.
48 going on 49.
I hail from a country never before represented on an F1 podium until I arrived.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. And clue number 3. I raced for a team that changed its name twice in my 2-year stint.
So
Going well with the sponsors then.
yeah,
Robert Kubica.
I don't think he's that old.
that would make him 31, 32 when he won. They also would have made it about 45 when he was in F1 at the last shout.
Yeah, maybe.
We're looking at your mid-2000s rarefied podium sitters, which Kubica sort of comes under, I guess. It's not going to be bloody Montero, is it? No.
I was thinking
a Portuguese driver.
I was thinking Sauber, BMW Sauber, etc., and all that debacle.
Like a Villeneuve or someone like that.
Villeneuve, I think, is a little older.
Yeah.
Montoya might be in the right bracket, but I feel like there have been other Colombians.
I think Montoya's a little older as well, isn't
Possibly.
he?
Do we get a vague stab?
No, I think Montoya is a good first guess, actually, because that would have put him roughly 25 at the time of his podium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, he only drove for Williams and McLaren, neither of whom changed their names.
That's
a
a problem.
Williams.
Yeah.
We'll bank it for more clues. I guess.
Okay. Where are we? Clue number 4. My teammate in my debut year was the first from his nation to race in F1.
Okay.
And
are we being sent down the garden path here, and it's actually nothing to do with F1, and just the clues sound vaguely like F1 related things?
Did that clue not just say something about being the first from their country to race in F1?
Yes.
Well, the other person is. But no, I'm sticking on the tinfoil hat. No,
fine.
Carry
That's
on.
fine.
no, that first clue was I hail from a country never before represented on an F1 podium until I arrived.
Very good point. We'll move on.
I set a record for consecutive finishes as a rookie that stood for 8 years.
So this is someone who's probably, not crashy, but generally unspectacular.
Consecutive finishes.
And one more clue before the next guess. A toothache nearly cost me a race, but my team boss's dental skills saved the day.
Flavio.
I was thinking the same. Yeah. So the team that will have changed names twice in 2 seasons, so Minardi to Toro Rosso was mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Jordan Midland Spiker.
Yeah.
I don't know that Jordan had any podiums after they were not Jordan anymore until they were Force India, though, did they?
The last one was Toro Rosso, was Tiago Monteiro in 2005, which was the last year Jordan was Jordan.
Did he race for them when they were Spiker? I don't think he did he?
No, Spiker was Christian Albers, and God, I had the hat. I had the Spiker hat. Oh, I can't remember who else was on that hat now.
Well, it was Winkelhock for a race.
Oof.
It was, yeah, I forgot about that. But no, it's none of those guys. Was it Carter Cahan? I don't know.
Maybe, might have been. See, Narain Carter Cahan was at Jordan, and then it became. I'm sure he was at Jordan, wasn't he? When it became Spiker.
Yeah, he was in the US Grand Prix, the 6-car one. He was the other driver.
Yeah.
But again, no podium.
I don't think so.
Mid-2000s wacky podiums. There's got to be some mad ones.
Well, it was usually Schumacher and Barrichello, and then someone else.
Cristiano D'Amato?
Oh, where was D'Amato from? Hey, what's a D'Amato with you? Yeah, where was he? Christian D'Amato, where was he from?
Thank you, Joe Dolce.
Yeah, I think he's Brazilian, so it doesn't work. Maybe he's Argentinian. No, I think he was.
No, because Carlos Reutemann and everybody else. And,
It's the obscure country. I think that's throwing me. It's trying to think of the obscure country.
Yeah.
It could be somebody who's from an obscure country but has a racing license from a different nation, and that would really throw us. But okay, let's have another clue, shall we?
Yeah.
Well, we need. I need a guess.
Christ.
That was clue 6, or are you just skipping over that and moving on?
Yeah.
Should we just move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. We need some.
My F1 career ended when a German talent took my seat.
Who did Vettel replace at BMW Sauber? That was Villeneuve, wasn't it?
No, Villeneuve was replaced by Kubica. Vettel made his debut when Kubica hurt his leg in Canada. And then replaced a Toro Rosso.
Replaced Vettel or someone.
Yeah, Vettel made his debut in USA,
Yes.
2007.
Yes.
The quickest ever to get a penalty for speeding.
It was expensive from the off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds, I think it was.
Right. Germans who would have come in around that time. We've got Rosberg.
Rosberg joined Williams. Rosberg was at Williams in 2006.
Sutil.
Sutil joined Force India or Midland.
Which
He
went through,
joined-
some names.
He's the other spiker. He's the
It
other
was the other
spiker.
spiker. It was Sutil, was it?
Yeah. So
Nick Heidfeld.
too
It's
early.
Are we sure it's not Tiago Monteiro, Kieran? We had Portuguese drivers on the podium before.
Paul, was one of the first clues something about 2 podiums?
No.
Could be him then.
Yeah, we'll recap the
It
clues
was.
again.
I hail from a country never before represented on an F1 podium until I arrived. It doesn't actually say how many times.
Yeah.
Next clue. I once collided with a Colombian, altering the race's outcome in the closing laps.
The
Okay.
Colombian has got to be Montoya.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And your last clue pre-spaffers.
Oh, multiple spaffers.
Multiple spaffers.
Good lord.
My best qualifying was 13th, but I'm remembered more for persistence than pace.
Yes, I got that gist from the clues, to be honest.
Okay. I might need all 9 to de-Monteiro this.
I think it might be Tiago Monteiro, you know.
Although there are 2 spaffers, although one is, I think, relating to his previous total shunt. Because he's put spaffer. I am not anyone's glass eye unless someone named theirs after me.
Was his previous spaffer potentially Helmut Marko's glass eye?
That was his previous shunt.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Sorry.
And
Can we hear all the clues again?
do you want
That's
the
all right.
Do you want the spaffer first, or
No, I don't know. Can I have the first 9?
okay?
I'm with Kieran on this, actually.
We'll recap. I was born in 1976.
Okay, so he would have been 28, 29 if it's Montero going on the 2005 US Grand Prix podium.
I hail from a country never before represented on an F1 podium until I arrived.
So Portugal only really had Pedro Lamy in my memory as an F1 driver.
I can't think of anyone before
No.
that.
No.
Okay. I raced for a team that changed its name twice during my 2-year stint.
Now, I didn't think Montero drove for Midland, but maybe he did. Maybe he did drive for Midland, and that's where it was Jordan to Midland.
That's right. It was Midland first, wasn't it, before it went to Spike? I get the 2 confused because they were only around for like a season each.
And I can't think who the other Midland driver was. Maybe it was Christian Albers. It was Christian Albers because that's who UJ Ide flipped in Imola and got his license taken off of him for.
My teammate in my debut year was the first from his nation to race in F1.
Narain Karthikeyan in India.
Yeah.
Bloody lost it now. There it is. I set a record for consecutive finishes as a rookie that stood for 8 years.
But maybe he did. I don't know. Tiago Montero's rookie. Sorry.
A toothache nearly cost me a race, but I was saved by my boss's dental skills.
So we can scratch out Flavio, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan would have probably punched somebody to get rid of a tooth. Yeah.
Give me that fucking tooth. I'm not going to do the Irish accent.
It's not an Irish accent. It's an impression of Eddie Jordan.
Just play the spoons. That's an impression of Eddie Jordan.
I did an impression of Colin Murray earlier whilst Countdown was on in the background of lunch, and Jane turned to me and went, "He's not Ian Paisley."
Don't do Eddie Jordan in that case. My F1 career ended when a German talent took my seat.
So that's got to be Sutil then, because he drove that Spiker in 2007.
And Sutil, for a little while, it's easy to forget, was marked as like a really big up and coming talent for a couple of years, and then he kind of threw that away a lot by annoying all the other drivers on the grid.
And glassing the bloke from Genie Capital, which Lewis didn't see. We must remember Lewis Hamilton definitely wasn't there.
No, he was there. He just didn't see it happen.
No, he wasn't there. No, according to Lewis's lawyer, he wasn't there.
I mean, don't forget, Lewis is a massive Arsenal fan, so he was just taking clues from Wenger about not seeing things.
I was wondering where that was going for a second.
Yeah, I wondered what you were going to say.
I once collided with a Colombian, altering the race's outcome in the closing laps.
Must have collided with Montoya at some point.
This seems logical, doesn't it? Yeah.
Montoya was leading the race, tried to lap him and lost it. Something like that.
And my best qualifying was 13th, but I'm remembered more for persistence than pace. And also, I'm not a glass eye.
Right. We'll hear. I mean, I'm not speaking for the group. I'm the new.
Yeah, let's go.
I would like to hear the second spaffer.
Yeah.
Okay. My only podium came in a race where the grid was smaller than a Formula 3 field.
It's
There
got
we
to
go.
be Tiago Montero.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that your final guess?
Yes.
I am not Glock. I am Tiago Montero.
Yes.
Bearing in mind, Kieran, you always say, is it Tiago Montero every time? Somebody had to come up with one of these. And it did take you till the spaffer. Levi, you nearly got him on that one.
Yeah, well done. I enjoyed that. I do enjoy I was about to say a total shunt. I do enjoy Is That Glock.
Well,
I used to like seeing on the bus 7-8 years ago, going to work and going, you see, it could be Johnny Dumfries.
No, you weren't. You were sat on the bus going to work 7-8 years ago going, it's got to be Tiago Montero this week.
Oh, yeah, good point, yeah.
If you want to send in an Is That Glock, because it's now not changing the name because we have an intro for it.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly? It is. That's Glock.
See? Then send it on email, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, or if you're on our 3legs4wheels Discord, drop me a DM and you can send it through on there, as the person who has sent next week's did earlier today. Don't forget, we've got the Prediction League running. The predictions are open for Japan, and your guess is as good as anyone's who's going to come where. You can get all that at 3legs4wheels.com, and we are at 3legs4wheels on the socials, except for Blue Sky, where we have actually managed to get 3legs4wheels.com, and individually we are socially
At Sean Cowper.
At Flo21.
At Kieran is boring.
and at Pablo100. And if you want to help us out, go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, and you can donate there from £1, $1, €1 upwards. And talking of donations, I just want to shout out to collection of names there: Joseph, Ferros, Wings Triumphant, Blackbird Ater, and probably a few more that didn't put the names to it because there's a lot of likes on here, who, and we're doing this as well, if Liam Lawson outscores Max and Yuki, they are all going to donate $25 or local equivalent, or however close to $25 they can afford, to a local food bank. And if anyone else wants to join in with that, I think that is a great idea. So get involved and let us know if you've done it, and you will be officially on the 3legs4wheels Roll of Honour.
Is this on Discord?
This is on Discord, yeah, in the F1 chat. So if you want to join our Discord, go to the website and just look at any of the podcast pages, and there's a link on there.
Are we going to do predictions for Japan?
Oh, we didn't do any for China. We got out of it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Does somebody want to take notes?
I have no devices. Well, I
You
have
can just
a phone.
listen. You can just listen back to the podcast again, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah. You've got a phone in one hand and a cat in the other. You are excused.
I can't make notes with a cat.
I've got my phone. I can type it in.
Right. Who's going first? Okay.
I'll go first.
Right. Go on then. Chris.
Norris, Piastri. Antonelli.
I'm going
Nice.
to go Norris, Russell, Leclerc.
No. Russell has been Russell has changed in autocorrect to Zeus.
Yes, I'd like to predict Norris, the head of the Greek gods, and then Leclerc.
Also Greek god of thunder, I believe.
Oh, so does that mean he gets the Gene Simmons Award already?
Maybe.
I'm going to go Piastri, Norris, Russell.
Russ. And I will go Norris. I don't
Tsunoda.
type at the same time. Yeah, I was going to say, am I going to absolutely Lee Stevens this and put Tsunoda on the podium?
Oh, I was so tempted. I was tempted.
Especially after all the smack I gave the Red Bull car early on in the year. I will say Norris, Russell, Max for a bit of difference.
Right. Well,
Very, very possible.
Well, if you want to put your top 5 in, along with pole and fastest lap, will there be a safety car, and how many DNFs, DNSs, or DQs, as we've had to amend it to after last week, just go to threelegspoilwheels.com and look in the games section. I think that's about it.
I think so.
We are good. Right, we will see you next week and unpick whatever the hell happens in Japan. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.